Edgar Cayce warned us about August 2025. Edgar Cayce Prophecy 2025. In a time where wildfires rage, volcanoes awaken, and magnetic fields shift, there's a deeper question we must ask. Are these random natural events or spiritual signals? Over 100 years ago, a humble man known as Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, looked far into the future. While in deep trance, he delivered thousands of readings, some healing, some mysterious, and others chillingly prophetic. Among them was a warning, a time when the earth itself would tremble in response to humanity's inner imbalance. He pointed specifically to a powerful shift around August 2025, a period marked not just by cosmic and geologic activity, but by a spiritual reckoning. And now, as signs in both the sky and the soil grow louder, many are asking, was he right? In this video, we'll explore Cayce's profound insights, the real-world signs unfolding today, and what they might be urging us to remember, not just about the earth, but about ourselves. This is not a story of fear, it's a call to awakening. Let's begin. Number 1. Introduction to Edgar Cayce, the Sleeping Prophet. Edgar Cayce, often referred to as the Sleeping Prophet, was one of the most enigmatic and prolific psychics of the 20th century. While in a self-induced trance state, he delivered over 14,000 documented psychic readings, an extraordinary body of work that spanned topics from health and healing to spirituality, ancient civilizations, and future world events. What set Cayce apart was not just the volume of his readings, but the profound depth and accuracy many believe they contained. Among his most haunting and compelling visions were those of dramatic earth changes, natural disasters like earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, shifts in coastlines, and even a potential reversal of the Earth's magnetic poles. But Cayce didn't frame these events as random acts of nature. He saw them as spiritual reflections, mirrors of humanity's collective consciousness and moral state. To Cayce, the Earth itself was alive, sensitive to the vibrations of human thought, behavior, and spiritual alignment. He warned that when humanity strays too far from divine principles, when we lose our sense of harmony with each other and with the natural world, the planet responds, and not with vengeance, but with resonance. The upheavals he foresaw were not punishments, but consequences, echoes of imbalance. His prophecies, particularly those pointing toward a critical turning point in our era, remain a powerful call for introspection, not just about what's happening around us, but within us. Number 2. Signs of the coming shift. As we move closer to August 2025, the Earth and the cosmos seem to be speaking in increasingly urgent tones. From deep within the planet to the vastness of space, a convergence of unusual phenomena is unfolding, each one a signal that something profound may be approaching. 1. Unusual geological activity. Across the globe, ancient volcanoes long considered dormant are stirring to life. Mount Etna in Sicily glows ominously against the night sky, while Campi Flegrei, Italy's fiery fields, continues to swell with underground pressure. In Mexico, Popocatépetl rumbles with ash and fire, and in the heart of the United States, Yellowstone quietly simmers beneath the surface, a sleeping giant that has long been watched with concern. These are not isolated geological events. Taken together, they form a larger pattern, a chorus of activity that suggests the Earth is not just restless, but awakening. According to Edgar Cayce's readings, such volcanic stirrings are early signs that the Earth's crust is beginning to shift, marking the prelude to even greater changes. 2. Disturbances from space. Beyond the Earth's surface, the planet's invisible defenses are showing signs of stress. The South Atlantic anomaly, a growing weak spot in the Earth's magnetic field, has scientists increasingly concerned. This anomaly represents a thinning of the very shield that protects life on Earth from harmful cosmic radiation. Meanwhile, the planet's magnetic poles are not only drifting, but accelerating in their movement. It's as if the Earth itself is disoriented, searching for a new equilibrium. At the same time, solar activity has intensified. NASA and other agencies have recorded powerful solar flares and coronal mass ejections, CMEZs, bursts of charged particles hurled from the Sun at incredible speed. These storms disrupt satellites, communications, and even human biology, hinting that space weather is becoming increasingly volatile. 3. Geophysical and cosmic phenomena of August 2025. August 2025 stands out not only because of rising geological and solar activity, but also due to rare cosmic alignments. Scientists are detecting long-period earthquakes, deep, low-frequency tremors that occur far beneath the Earth's surface. These are not the typical quakes we feel above ground. They are subtle but significant movements, often considered precursors to major tectonic shifts. Oceanographers have also noted disturbing changes in the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation, commonly known as the Atlantic conveyor. This ancient underwater current regulates climate and ocean patterns across the globe, and signs of its weakening suggest mounting instability in Earth's climate system. Adding to this convergence is a rare gravitational alignment between Earth, the Sun, and several massive outer planets. Though nearly imperceptible to us, such alignments exert real pressure on the Earth's tectonic plates and oceans, amplifying tension both beneath our feet and within the collective human psyche. Together, these geological and cosmic signals paint a picture of a planet under pressure, physically, energetically, and perhaps spiritually. If Edgar Cayce was right, these are not merely random disruptions. They are part of a larger, interconnected awakening. The Earth, it seems, is preparing to shift, calling us to pay attention not just to science, but to spirit. Number 3. Edgar Cayce's spiritual perspective. Edgar Cayce's worldview extended far beyond geology and magnetism. His prophecies weren't simply predictions of natural disasters. They were deeply spiritual insights into the relationship between humanity and the Earth. He believed that physical events on the planet are intimately connected to the spiritual condition of its inhabitants. To Cayce, Earth was not just a rock orbiting the Sun. It was a living mirror responding to the collective consciousness of humankind. Point 3.1. 1. The Earth as a reflection of the human soul. In the teachings of Edgar Cayce, the Earth is not just a planet we inhabit. It is a mirror, a living reflection of the collective human soul. Cayce emphasized that natural upheavals like earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and even the subtle shifting of the Earth's poles are not chaotic or wrathful acts of nature, but rather profound responses to humanity's spiritual misalignment. When we stray from principles like compassion, honesty, humility, and unconditional love, the Earth begins to reverberate with our inner disharmony. These events are not divine punishments, but natural consequences of our inner state projected outward into the world around us. In this light, the planet doesn't punish us. It mourns with us, it trembles under the weight of our disconnection, almost as if trying to awaken us to the deeper truth of our being. This idea is not far from Buddhist wisdom, which teaches that, with our thoughts, we make the world, as the Dhammapada reminds us. Just as Cayce saw Earth as echoing our moral and spiritual condition, the Buddha saw the outer world as a reflection of the mind. When the mind is unbalanced, filled with greed, hatred, or ignorance, it distorts everything it touches, including the world we share. To understand this more deeply, consider how we relate to one another, to the planet, and to ourselves in modern life. We live in a time where consumption often outweighs compassion, where competition is celebrated over cooperation, and where truth is too often sacrificed for convenience. These collective choices ripple through the human spirit and, as Cayce warned, find their way into the Earth's response. When humanity collectively moves toward ego, exploitation, and disconnection, it shouldn't surprise us when the Earth mirrors that energy with instability. And yet, rather than fear this, we are invited to awaken. The Buddha taught that, just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life. Cayce's insight aligns with this teaching, showing us that when we abandon spiritual grounding, we extinguish the light that guides the world toward balance. Therefore, the Earth's rumblings can be seen not as threats, but as wake-up calls, gentle or fierce reminders to return to compassion, mindfulness, and right living. If you've watched up to this point, you're already tapping into the hidden knowledge Edgar Cayce left behind. Comment below with "Awakened in 2025" to affirm your commitment to understanding these powerful prophecies. Don't go anywhere, there's still more to uncover about what could shape our future. Stay until the end to discover the full message Cayce may have left for us about August 2025. 2. Specific warnings and prophecies. Edgar Cayce, often called the sleeping prophet, didn't just speak in symbols or vague metaphors. Some of his most powerful messages came through vivid, direct warnings about the Earth and humanity's future. He spoke of major earthquakes shaking the central United States, volcanoes erupting across distant islands, and coastlines being swallowed by massive floods. He even predicted that large parts of Japan could one day be submerged beneath the sea. And in perhaps one of his most startling visions, he described parts of Europe changing so suddenly it would happen in the twinkling of an eye. These were not scenes meant to cause panic or despair, they were wake-up calls. Cayce's intention was never to scare people into action, but to gently and urgently invite us all to reflect. How are we living in relation to the Earth and to each other? He believed that these natural upheavals were not punishments, but reflections of a deeper imbalance between humanity and the divine laws that guide life. If the Earth is alive, breathing, moving, reacting, then how we live upon it matters deeply. Are we living in harmony with the rhythms of nature, or are we creating disharmony through greed, neglect, and spiritual disconnection? Cayce's message was clear. If humanity realigns with spiritual truth, if we choose compassion, stewardship, and inner growth over conflict and materialism, many of these future disasters could be softened or even avoided. He saw prophecy not as fixed fate, but as a living warning, a chance for change. So, what can each of us do right now to return to balance, to live more consciously and kindly, both with the Earth and with one another? These aren't just questions for philosophers or mystics, they're questions for each of us in our everyday lives. How we respond could shape the future we leave for those yet to come. 3. The moral influence on Earth's magnetic field and poles. One of Edgar Cayce's most extraordinary and thought-provoking teachings is the idea that the Earth itself, its magnetic field, its poles, and even the way it spins can be influenced by something as intangible as human morality. Think about that for a moment. Cayce wasn't just suggesting that our actions affect our communities or our relationships, but that the energy we carry inside us, both individually and collectively, has a direct impact on the natural world. He believed that the balance between love and hate, truth and deceit, unity and division, doesn't just shape human experience, it actually resonates with the forces that hold the Earth together. So when humanity moves away from spiritual truth, when we let greed, hatred, fear, or division take root in our lives, it's not just our social systems or our emotional well-being that suffer. According to Cayce, even the Earth begins to feel that imbalance. It becomes less stable, and its very axis, the invisible center line around which the planet spins, can begin to shift. Now, you might be wondering, how could something so spiritual possibly affect something as scientific and physical as the Earth's magnetic field? That's a fair question, and it touches on the deeper wisdom behind Cayce's view that the physical world and the spiritual world are not separate. They are deeply, inseparably connected. In Buddhism, there's a similar understanding. The Buddha taught that the mind is everything. What you think, you become. And just like Cayce, he encouraged us to look within if we want to understand the world outside. When our minds are filled with hatred or confusion, the world reflects that confusion back at us. And when we return to compassion, mindfulness, and inner harmony, the world begins to settle too. So let me ask you, when was the last time you paused to check the moral compass of your own life? Are your choices rooted in integrity, kindness, and truth, or are they shaped more by fear, stress, or the constant pressure of daily life? Cayce believed that if we want to see peace in the world, we have to begin by creating peace in our own hearts. The Earth, in this sense, becomes a mirror, showing us not just what's happening geologically, but spiritually. Every time we choose love over judgment, patience over anger, and unity over separation, we contribute to a spiritual balance that Cayce believed could literally help stabilize the Earth itself. Now, this might sound overwhelming at first. After all, can one person really make a difference on such a massive scale? But here's the beauty of it. Cayce taught that the collective energy of humanity matters. Each person is like a tuning fork, and together we create the overall harmony or disharmony of the world. So yes, your individual choices do matter. They're part of a much bigger spiritual ecosystem. And when more of us choose to align with higher values, when we return to humility, gratitude, truth, and love, we help bring that balance back to the Earth. One moment, one thought, and one act at a time. The message here is clear and powerful. The Earth is not something out there that we observe from a distance. It's alive, it's connected to us, and it responds to our collective consciousness. Number 4. The current spiritual condition of humanity. If the Earth is indeed a mirror of humanity's inner state, as Edgar Cayce believed, then the signs of distress we see in nature may reflect a deeper crisis within ourselves. In many ways, the spiritual foundation of our global civilization appears to be fractured. The imbalance in the world around us may be the echo of a collective disconnection from truth, from compassion, and from the sacred. 1. A world divided. Today, we find ourselves living in a time where the human spirit feels both overwhelmed and undernourished, standing at a delicate crossroads shaped by growing division and inner disconnection. Across the globe, political tensions simmer and often boil over, reflecting not only the breakdown of diplomacy, but also the erosion of trust, not just between nations, but within communities, families, and even within ourselves. International conflicts, once far away on the news, now feel ever closer, amplified by a digital world that never sleeps, feeding us headlines without healing our hearts. Meanwhile, our planet, the shared home that silently supports all life, continues to suffer from environmental neglect and exploitation. The signs are all around us: wildfires, rising seas, polluted skies, and dying species. Yet, in our rush for comfort and convenience, we look away, distracted, disconnected from the very earth that sustains us. As these outer crises deepen, so too does a more subtle and widespread inner crisis, one of spiritual emptiness. Across cultures and generations, there is a rising sense of loneliness, anxiety, and meaninglessness. Mental and emotional health challenges are no longer rare. They are becoming the norm, not because people have grown weaker, but because the structures that once nurtured our inner lives, community, stillness, spiritual practice, connection to nature, have been pushed to the margins of modern living. Families that once gathered around dinner tables now gather less, often separated by screens and schedules. Neighborhoods, once bound by shared rituals and mutual care, have become quieter, more isolating spaces. And even as the internet has made it easier than ever to send a message across the world, the kind of deep, soulful connection we long for seems harder to find. The digital age, while offering unprecedented access to information, has also flooded us with noise. Social media rewards outrage over understanding, opinion over wisdom, and division over unity. We scroll endlessly, not realizing how easily our attention is hijacked, our energy drained, and our compassion dulled. The loudness of the outside world is mirrored by a growing silence within the silence, not of peace, but of spiritual numbness. In this atmosphere, our instincts have slowly shifted. Instead of reaching out, we retreat. Instead of listening, we judge. Instead of healing the divisions that wound us all, we often reinforce them, choosing blame over understanding, scarcity over generosity, and self-interest over the common good. Yet even in this troubled time, there remains a quiet truth. The human spirit, though burdened, has not been broken. Beneath the noise, beneath the fragmentation, there still lives a longing, a deep yearning for unity, for meaning, for something greater than fear and consumption. This moment in history, painful as it may be, is also a profound opportunity. It is a wake-up call asking us to remember who we truly are, not just as individuals but as a shared humanity. We are not meant to live in fear of one another, nor in fear of the world. We are meant to awaken to the beauty of connection, the necessity of compassion, and the power of collective healing. And while the journey back to wholeness will not be quick or easy, every small act of awareness, every moment of kindness, every effort to understand instead of divide, begins to shift the current. In this way, even in a world divided, we are not without hope, for the seed of awakening still lies within us all. By watching this far, you're already part of a growing community seeking deeper truth beyond the surface. Edgar Cayce's message for August 2025 speaks to all of us. Drop a 2025 awakening in the comments to show you're on this journey too. There's more insight ahead. Stay with us to hear the full prophecy. 2. Disconnection from nature and the sacred. Let's take a moment to reflect on where we stand as a human family. In our rush toward progress, comfort, and control, we've drifted far from something deeply essential, our connection with nature and the sacred essence of life itself. We've built cities that touch the clouds and technologies that reach the stars. Yet in doing so, many of us have forgotten how to feel the ground beneath our feet. The earth, once honored as a living, breathing presence, is now treated as a commodity, something to be owned, extracted from, and dominated. We burn forests to make room for industry, poison rivers for profit, and disrupt delicate ecosystems for short-term gain. But have we ever stopped to ask, what is the cost of all this convenience? What have we sacrificed in exchange for our modern lifestyles? Somewhere along the way, we've lost the quiet reverence that guided the hearts of our ancestors, who saw the wind, the trees, the animals, and even the stars as sacred companions rather than objects. This isn't just an environmental issue, it's a spiritual one. Today, many of us have forgotten how to be still. We've forgotten how to listen not just to the voices of our fellow human beings, but to the subtle wisdom that speaks through the rustle of leaves, the flowing of water, the songs of birds. When was the last time you truly paused to watch a sunrise, or sat silently under a tree and just breathed? The disconnection we feel from nature mirrors a deeper disconnection within ourselves. We've forgotten how to pray, not necessarily in a religious sense, but in the way that simply involves being present, grateful, and in awe of the mystery that surrounds us. We've become distant from the divine, not because the divine is far from us, but because we've stopped listening. As the spiritual teacher Edgar Cayce once warned, the imbalance we see in the world is a reflection of the imbalance within us, and his message is more urgent today than ever. If the earth is to heal, we must begin by healing ourselves. We must remember our true identity, not as conquerors or consumers, but as caretakers. This planet is not just a place we live. It is our shared sacred home, and like any home, it deserves care, respect, and love. How would the world change if we treated every living thing with the reverence it deserves? What if we walked through the world not trying to control it, but learning from it with humility and wonder? The path forward is not complicated, but it does require intention. It begins with small acts of reconnection. Take your shoes off and walk barefoot on the earth. Plant something, even if it's just a flower on your windowsill. Sit in silence and feel the air move across your skin. These are not meaningless acts, they are the beginning of remembering. Because when we reconnect with nature, we also reconnect with the sacred part of ourselves that we've pushed aside in the name of productivity. And from that place of reconnection, true healing can begin first in our hearts, then in our communities, and finally in the world around us. So I ask you, what can you do today to reconnect with the earth and with your own spirit? Let that question guide your steps forward, gently and with purpose, as you walk the path back to wholeness. Number 5. The message and the response. In light of Edgar Cayce's teachings and the signs emerging in both the earth and the heavens, one truth becomes clear. It is not the earth that needs fixing, it is us. The natural world is not broken on its own. It is responding to our collective state of being. The tremors, the storms, the shifts, they are not punishment, but reflection. A mirror held up to humanity's spiritual disconnection. 1. The earth doesn't need repair. Humanity needs awakening. In a time when the world feels fragile and full of uncertainty, Edgar Cayce's prophetic insight reminds us of a profound truth we often overlook. The earth itself is not broken, rather, it is humanity that needs awakening. We seek answers in technology, science, and politics, hoping these external forces will stabilize our world, yet the root of our collective imbalance lies within. Cayce taught that spiritual transformation is not a luxury for the mystic, but a necessity for everyone. The healing we so desperately seek for our environment, our society, and our future does not come from repairing the earth. It comes from awakening the soul. When there is peace within, there will be peace without, the Buddha once said, and this message has never been more relevant. Cayce emphasized that every soul is connected to the universal fabric, and our inner vibrations influence far more than we can see. Just as a single drop of water creates ripples across an entire pond, so too does a single loving thought send waves into the collective energy of our planet. In this way, the tectonic shifts we fear are reflections of deeper spiritual disconnections, disruptions not in nature's design, but in human consciousness. As we navigate toward August 2025, a time Cayce hinted would be spiritually significant, the true preparation is not about building bunkers or studying forecasts. It's about returning to values that honor life. It is about choosing compassion over convenience, integrity over fear, presence over distraction. The Buddha taught, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. And modern science is only now catching up to the ancient truth that our thoughts shape our reality. In this age of hyperconnectivity, where distraction is endless and division is widespread, awakening becomes an act of courage. It means turning inward and facing our fears, our anger, our apathy, not to shame ourselves, but to heal. The earth is not punishing us, it is mirroring us. And when we take responsibility for our inner world, we begin to shift the outer world in profound ways. The planet doesn't need to be saved. It needs us to remember who we truly are. Stewards, not consumers. Caretakers, not conquerors. In daily life, this awakening can be as simple as how we speak to a stranger, how we treat animals, how we consume food and media. Every choice becomes a vote for the future. And while this might sound small, it's not. As Cayce noted, thoughts are things, and thoughts held with intention can rebuild a world. Let us not underestimate the power of kindness, of mindfulness, of genuine human connection. Just as Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, there is no way to peace, peace is the way. This isn't philosophy for the elite, it's practical guidance for anyone seeking stability in a shifting world. So if we are to meet 2025 with wisdom, let it be not in fear, but in awakening. Let us rise each day not asking how to fix the earth, but how to heal the part of ourselves that has forgotten our deep interconnection with it. When the heart is clear, the path is clear. And in walking that path, we not only transform ourselves, we help shift the destiny of the entire planet. By watching this far, you're already part of a growing community, seeking deeper truth beyond the surface. Edgar Cayce's message for August 2025 speaks to all of us. Drop a 2025 awakening in the comments to show you're on this journey too. There's more insight ahead. Stay with us to hear the full prophecy. 2. Spiritual practice as a path to healing. If you've ever wondered how one person, just you, could possibly make a difference in a world that feels increasingly unstable, Edgar Cayce offers a powerful reminder. The earth responds not just to what we do, but to who we are. His message wasn't about fear, but about responsibility and opportunity. Spiritual practice, Cayce taught, is not about escape or superstition. It's a form of energetic contribution. When you pray, meditate, or forgive, you're not stepping away from the world. You're stepping into your power to help balance it. Have you ever thought about prayer not as asking for something, but as aligning your heart with truth? Or meditation, not as a way to avoid chaos, but as a way to restore your center, so you can face that chaos with clarity. Cayce believed that these practices are forces, not gestures. They carry weight. They send vibrations into the collective field we all share. When you forgive not because someone deserves it, but because you refuse to carry the burden of bitterness, you release a frequency that helps lighten the collective load. This is why Cayce warned us about times like August 2025, not to frighten us, but to help us prepare spiritually, emotionally, and energetically. The tremors of the earth, he believed, were deeply connected to the tremors in human consciousness. What if your daily decisions, what you say, what you think, how you treat others, were not just personal but planetary? In Buddhism, there's a simple yet profound teaching. With our thoughts, we make the world. This isn't just poetic, it's practical. Choosing humility over pride, simplicity over greed, and love over fear doesn't just change your life, it sends ripples through the world around you. The earth, in this sense, is not separate from us. As Cayce said, the soul shapes the soil. So ask yourself, what energy are you adding to the world today? As we move closer to energy building in 2025, it becomes even more important to stay grounded in spiritual practice, not just for your own peace, but because the earth itself responds to human intention. Every small act of mindfulness, every effort to live with integrity, helps shift the energy that surrounds us all. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present, aware, and willing to participate in healing from the inside out. When you choose to calm your thoughts, forgive someone, or simply be kind when it's easier to judge, you are offering medicine to the world. And over time, those choices become a spiritual foundation, strong enough to withstand even the strongest storm. So, as you listen to these teachings and reflect on Cayce's warnings, don't ask only, what will happen? Ask instead, how can I serve? Because that question and the sincere actions that follow are what truly shape the future. 3. The questions that matter most. As we move deeper into the questions raised by Edgar Cayce's prophecy surrounding August 2025, we're not being asked to prepare in fear, but to pause and reflect with deep sincerity. Right now, in the middle of so much noise, division, and unrest, the most important thing you can do isn't to stockpile or speculate. It's to turn inward and ask the questions that really matter. Not the ones that distract, but the ones that wake you up. Questions like, am I truly living in alignment with what I say I believe? Do I carry love, not just as an idea, but as a daily practice for myself, for others, and for the earth? Am I walking in harmony not only with my soul, but with creation itself, and with something greater than me, whatever name I give it? These aren't distant spiritual ideas, they are compass points for your life. They guide the choices you make each day and the energy you bring into the world. And as Cayce made clear, when enough individuals return to spiritual integrity, the world begins to heal. That's not poetic exaggeration, it's energetic reality. You may wonder, what does that have to do with earthquakes, politics, or the crises we see in the news? But Cayce's deeper teaching was this: the outer world reflects the state of the inner world, and when we reconnect with truth, with compassion, with presence, we begin to calm the larger storms. This is why Cayce's message wasn't ever meant to frighten anyone. He wasn't pointing fingers or predicting doom for its own sake. What he offered was a reminder of responsibility, not just in a moral sense, but in an energetic one. He believed that the most powerful force on earth isn't nature, or governments, or even technology. It's a human being who is fully awake, spiritually aware, and living in alignment with their highest self. You are not just an observer in these times, you are a participant, a co-creator. Your daily intentions, your mindset, and how you treat others contribute to the overall energy of the planet. So, when Cayce spoke of coming changes, it wasn't about helplessly watching events unfold. It was a call to realign with what matters most. And that begins with asking real questions. Not, what will happen? But, who am I choosing to be in the face of what's happening? That one shift from fear to conscious responsibility can change everything. The Buddha once said, just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life. And in a time like this, that truth becomes more urgent. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. But you do need to show up with honesty, with courage, and with a willingness to ask those deeper questions again and again. Because when you live in alignment with truth, when your actions flow from compassion and not fear, the earth feels that. Cayce believed in the ripple effect of human consciousness, that healing one soul helps lift the vibration of all. So, as you move forward, don't just listen to predictions, listen to your inner compass. Because in the end, it's not about what August 2025 brings, it's about how we meet it. And the good news is, you have the power to meet it with wisdom, love, and an awakened spirit. As we've explored today, Edgar Cayce's warnings about August 2025 were never meant to instill fear, but to inspire awareness, responsibility, and spiritual awakening. The earth is not separate from us. It responds to the energy we carry, the choices we make, and the way we live, moment by moment. Whether or not the coming changes unfold exactly as he foresaw, one truth remains. We each have the power to contribute to healing starting from within. This is not about waiting for the world to change, it's about becoming the change the world is calling for. So ask yourself, how will you show up in these times? With fear or with love? With distraction or with presence? If this message resonates with you, please support our work by liking, sharing, and subscribing to The Journey of Wisdom. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming videos on spiritual insights, ancient prophecies, and the path of awakening in modern life. Thank you for walking this journey with us. Until next time, stay mindful, stay compassionate, and stay awake.